Again, this is from the Financial Times. UK government seeks to make COVID business loan scheme permanent. Bank executives asked for their views on a replacement program aimed at small and medium-sized companies. So, to everybody watching, what we're talking about, the Chinese element of this is that the Chinese Communist Party and their model for economic growth pretty much incentivizes debt creation in the economy, private sector debt creation. And this is something that they've been using very successfully, some would say, for many years, many decades. Well, not many decades, but several decades now. And have used it to grow their economy. So by incentivizing people to take on debt in order to invest in things and continually incentivizing that debt and then only occasionally causing it to shrink, they've been able to grow their economy by an awful lot. During the COVID lockdowns, we saw the government effectively underwrite an awful lot of loans. So banks made loans to private businesses that they would not otherwise, because they thought they wouldn't be able to pay them back, and often in many cases they wouldn't pay them back. But because the government said, don't worry, if the person doesn't or the business doesn't pay it back, we'll cover the cost of the loan. And so as a result, banks take on much more risk than they would otherwise when making loans to private sector enterprises. And this is almost like capitalism with Chinese characteristics coming in through the back door. And here we are, what was an emergency measure being rolled out to the UK proper. So it's when you think of it, most of the money in circulation in the UK generally is not money that's sort of been created by central banks. Most of it is private sector debt created money. So this is money that has been lent into existence by banks to private enterprises and private individuals. And in this way, with the government underwriting loans and wanting to continue to stimulate this, the same way that the Chinese Communist Party have managed to do in China, this represents to me a big step forward for a great leap forward for capitalism with Chinese characteristics in this country, which is quite worrying in a lot of ways, as you do see the government taking an ever greater interest and a greater hand on the pedal for economic growth here, because of course they can say, well, we're just going to underwrite loans in businesses that we want to succeed and not ones that we don't. So if you're doing something that's green, perhaps, whatever's flavor of the month, we'll make sure that we're guaranteeing the loans issued by banks to those businesses. We're not going to do the other ones. And of course, it does open the door to all manner of cronyism, and we've seen plenty of that recently as well. But at the same time, it's quite inflationary as well, because of course this is the main method of printing money in this country, is banks issuing loans to private enterprises and individuals.